Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our celebration of International Women's Day. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tanya Husak and I will be your moderator today. I'm the VP of Client Services here at R Systems, and I'm very proud to say I've been in the technology field for over 30 years. I've seen many changes and I look forward to seeing many, many more in the future. Today, we're going to be discussing the many hats that women wear today. And some of the hats that I wear include mother, sister, aunt, niece, friend, and peer. But my most treasured hat that I wear today is grandmother. So today we're going to gather and we're going to honor incredible achievements and contributions of women around the world. This day is not just a celebration, but it's also a call to action for us all to come together as one. And today we're going to discuss the importance of how women balance multiple roles while breaking barriers. And we want to celebrate cultural backgrounds and we want to foster an inclusive environment. So I'm very excited to be here. So as we celebrate today, let's really remember the progress that we've made as women and the work that still lies ahead of all of us. And together, we continue to strive for a world where every woman and girl can achieve their full potential, free from discrimination and inequality. One thing that I wanted to share is something that I keep on my wall that I really love, and it's just a quote from Serena Williams. And what she has said is the success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up, make sure we are very courageous, be strong, be extremely kind, and above all, be humble. So with that, I really thank you all for joining us, but I would like to introduce our panel. We have a fantastic panel joining us today for a day to remember. And what I'd like to do is we have a little icebreaker. And so as you introduce yourselves, I want you to talk about maybe a hat that symbolizes your role in life. So tell us a little bit about yourself and about the hat that you might choose. And Joy, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Tanya. So I'm Joy Jones. I'm the CEO at the Graduate Management Admission Council, which, if you're not familiar, is a globally recognized nonprofit organization. We play a crucial role in advancing graduate management education since our organization was established more than 70 years ago now. So we focus on career advancing opportunities for individuals, by providing some of our tools, services, and offerings for learners, academic institutions, and working professionals. And you probably best know us for our flagship product, the GMAT exam, which is a benchmark assessment for candidates applying to graduate business school. I'm the fourth CEO for the organization and its first female leader. And I arrived here after a start in management consulting and more than 20 plus years spent in product and marketing and markets leadership roles. I myself am a taker of the graduate management admissions test because I am a graduate of business education. I completed my MBA at Stanford GSB in my home state of California. So you can tell from my accent, I am an American. I am therefore a natural advocate for the degree and its potential for career advancement, especially for women and underrepresented people. I'm also the mother of two teenage boys, and my oldest is in the process of determining where he will attend university in the fall. So that is taking a lot of time and attention. And if I were to pick one of your hats, not having seen these hats previously, I'd like the chef hat and the hard hat. The chef hat because I think it speaks to the ability to take various inputs and create something delicious, magical, interesting, stimulating, etc. out of it. And I often find that the provider role is one that I gravitate towards in my personal and professional life, where it's more about giving professionally my team's resources and access and opportunities. So I like that hat and the hard hat just because typically that means you're doing some hard work. So I'm gravitating towards both of those.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. I love it. Marissa, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm a Chief Product Officer at Bango. It's a fast-growing digital subscription company based out in the UK. I'm a mother to two children below 10 years old, who I adore so much. We adore a lot of cuddles, making up stories at time. It's a balancing act being a C-level executive as well as being a mother to such young children. A little bit about myself. I'm also an Asian based out in Portugal, married to a Portuguese. So you can imagine there's quite a rich diversity in my life. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think the hats five, the magician's hat speaks to me because every night I magic up stories for my children. At work, also, it's about understanding and balancing the priorities of the moment and trying to understand what's the best course to drive the most impact.
Oh, beautiful, Marissa. Thank you for joining us. And Manjula, thank you for joining us. Can you introduce yourself and which hat would you wear?
Sure. Thank you so much for the invitation, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here today. And I'm actually looking forward to hearing my co-panelists' views on this, as I would look at this as a learning opportunity for me. I'm currently working as the India site leader for Workday. As an organization, we provide and help companies move their businesses forward, helping them manage their people and finances better. We have just celebrated our 20th birthday as a company. So we are excited. I have been working in the IT industry for the past 30 years. I am also the trustee of a nonprofit called Atmaja, and I take a lot more pride in seeing the people and the girls that we support as part of Atmaja graduate and become financially independent than anything else in the world at this point of time. I have two daughters, and my elder one is a lawyer. She deals with human rights and immigration issues. My second daughter is a doctor, and I call that also as two successful projects, the most successful projects. I would also choose hat number 5, but not merely as a magician's hat, but as a hat of a juggler. I think the roles that we play and the kind of work that we do on a day-to-day basis, there is a lot more juggling than anything else that you do to balance. So I would call that as a juggling hat.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for introducing yourself and for being here. This is so great. I will go back to you, Joy. Let's start with our first question. I'm so excited to get into this. So women often juggle various roles. We have our careers and we have our family, leadership, and personal growth. How do you manage these responsibilities while maintaining your well-being?
Well, I really focus on intention. I think that's the biggest word for me these days. As I'm sure we all experience, it can be quite challenging and a balancing act for anyone, but especially for women if you are also in a traditional role as a multi-generational caregiver, like so many of us are. I'd say what has served me well is I'm very clear about what matters most, not just overall, but also in each area of my life, which really helps me prioritize quite a bit. And I'm less shy about sharing that with others so they can appreciate and consider my priorities and my values when they're seeking my time and attention. And unlike the movie, I don't try to be everything everywhere all at once, though I do try to be adaptable. That's been a hard lesson for me at sometimes because I, like many others, perhaps overestimate what I can take on at times or have at different points throughout my career. But I've learned, when to say yes and when to say no, and when to read the signs that I need to rebalance my priorities. I'm fortunate to have a spouse that partners with me in most areas of running a really busy household with teenagers. And that idea of building a trusted network really extends into my work, where I've built a solid leadership team and into my social life, where I have a few different trusted circles of friends. So in general, that helps me spend time where and how I'm most useful and where I'm most enriched, and to delegate whenever possible. And I also, of course, we talk about it in these lofty terms, but I will also say realistically, I use some very practical tools and tactics, like having integrated views of my calendars and blocking time for exercise and personal care, and taking time to attend as many of the school events for my children that my really hectic travel schedule allows, leading a small multinational organization. So I try to do the basics and aspire for the balance overall.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Let me just step back 1 minute. Mojave, I would like for you to introduce yourself. I'm so sorry I didn't see you on my screen, but if you could introduce yourself and tell me which hat you like to wear.
Yeah, I saw hat number 2, Tanya. I hope I am pronouncing
Oh,
it right.
yes, yes,
Uh,
you are. Very good.
Yeah, thank you. So that sort of speaks to me. I have always been interested in arts. Not that I am not the science type. Arts is where my root is, and I think I a day best spent is me creating solutions, solving problems. I think creative solutions is what I'm after in life, both on personal front and on the professional front. And in terms of introduction, I hail from the southern Indian city that is called Tiruchi, and I've spent the last 25 years here in Chennai. I started my career in Bangalore, all along in telecom, and I've been building products for telecom networks. Nokia is in the business of building software for operators' communication networks. We have created and launched 4G networks for operators, 5G, and we are now researching on 6G and beyond, right? So that's where I am. I had a unit called as Custom Applications and Solutions. That's about customizing standard blueprint products that come out of R&D for our operator customers. So in terms of hat, it's the artist or the creator's hat that you have numbered as 2 on the screen, Tanya. Thank you.
I love it. That's my favorite hat too. I love
Yeah.
to think I could be an artist, but I can't. So I really want to wear that hat, but I can't.
Second career waiting for you.
That's fantastic. Madhavi, let's continue with you. Can you tell me like the roles that you're juggling, you have career and your family and your leadership. How do you manage these responsibilities while really maintaining your well-being?
Yeah, I can never say with certainty that I am balancing all of these roles to perfection, right? I don't think I am after perfection, because I know that's a never attainable goal. I'm just
Yeah.
doing my best on all fronts. The kind of roles that I'm juggling. Of course, I am a mother of 2 boys. Maybe I should call them 2 men now. Both of them are, one is 20 and the other one is 23. So the elder one has started working. He's in the payment tech phase, and the younger one is in college. So those are my 2 projects. Latching on to Manjula's terminology, right? And yeah, the mother's role is the most important role, and of course, I am a wife to a great partner. I mean, he is more than an equal partner. Whatever success I've had in life, I think it's all attributable to the kind of support I've got both from himself and from my extended family as a whole. And of course, the third role is what we do in the professional front, and how I maintain my well-being. I think honestly, that question is more relevant in during the late 20s until we hit 40s. I think that is the time window when you're getting married, you have kids, and you're going into the first line manager sort of roles, which I would say are the most demanding ones. You have young kids, and 24 hours is just not enough. And at least for me, I grew up in a generation where we didn't have women role models going into work. I've always seen mothers staying at home. So every time there was a challenge on the home front, my thinking would begin with, am I doing the right thing by going to work, by opting to work, right? So I was battling my own inner demons, and the entire credit of keeping me on my professional path goes to my family, right? So now maintaining my well-being, I am into reading. I end the day reading a book, at least 30 minutes of reading. And I, in the mornings, I try and walk for 30, 45 minutes. I think those are small tidbits of, my own secrets of maintaining my well-being is what I should say, Tanya.
That's beautiful. I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I also saw was, 30 years ago, I did have that struggle as a young mother going into work. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Marissa, same question to you.
Like Joy, I'm also learning to be more intentional with my time, right?
Yeah.
There's such a limit in terms of time and energy, and if anything, it's about, instead of thinking of it in terms of being in opposition with one another, because if you think of it like a balance, they are in opposition of one another. It's about how you incorporate life and work together, and I sort of approach it through the lens of a spider map, if you will, and thinking about what that approach would be like and what's important for that moment itself, and then making a choice on what's important, prioritizing it, choosing to be present for the choices I've made at that point in time, and being grateful for my support system, because without them I wouldn't be here for and doing what I'm doing. So if I can dive a little bit into that, I think I talked a little bit about prioritization. It takes a lot of ruthless prioritization. You do that at work. You prioritize, on a daily basis at work in terms of what are the key strategic items you're going to be working on. It's no different to how you should do that and approach that in your lifestyle as well. So I block aside time for key meetings during the day. It's no different to how I block aside key times for my own personal use as well. So it's important that when I'm not traveling, I'm here to collect my kids. I'm here to cook the dinner and spend time with them and being present to be with them. So, it's blocking aside time and making sure that no one can take over that time. Equally, because I'm based out in Europe and my family is in Asia, I need to make sure that I also block aside time to travel back and be with my mom and my brothers back there as well. If I don't do that, then, the balance is sort of out of sync between Europe and Asia. And then I think being fully present is such a key thing, because I think earlier on, when you're either with the kids, I realized that I'm still thinking about work. And if I'm work, I might be worried about my kids, especially when they're sick, right? So it's always that. But I need to remind myself that I made a choice to spend time with my kids, or I made a choice to be part of that strategic meeting. So to be respectful for the people around me, I need to make sure that I'm present. I'm giving them my best. My team expects me to have a strong leadership, or my family needs me. I need to be present and giving them my best for that. So, yeah. And I think lastly, on my support system, I think kudos also on the partners. I think I couldn't be doing this without my husband. I think he does an equal share of everything in the household, and a big shout out to my kids. They now know how to stock the washing machine, and they hang up the clothes on the lining. I'm hoping they'll do more in the future, but I'm good with what I have at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Marissa. Thank you. I love the intention of where you are, being present. I love that. And I definitely try to do that more. Manjula, how about you? How do you manage and keep your well-being?
I think we've heard a lot of good things from the other panelists, and some of that most of the women in leadership follow. And I wouldn't want to spend more time on prioritization, being intentional. These are all really good things that every one of us should try. I think one thing that I have always done, in addition to what my co-panelists talked about, is not being shy to ask for help. I think that's been really, really critical for me. finding help where I can, especially, coming from, I'm sure Madhavi would agree to this, that coming from a background of as a working mother and wife in an Indian context actually is a lot more difficult in terms of what you can do. So I have always tried to figure out ways where I can get help, whether it is managing my household, whether it is getting someone to drive me, whether it is somebody to help with any other chores that I need to do at home. Other than spending time with my kids, I have tried managing and taking help from wherever possible. So I've built a support system around my family that can help me actually get to do what is more important for me.
Mhm.
And my family has been the most important thing. And for me, family has always come first. So I have got my clear boundaries around what should be prioritized and where I should be spending time. So those are two things that I have done that has worked well, really well for me. And I never called this work-life balance because I don't know whether there is a balance, and I wanted to call it work-life integration. Use
Ah,
whatever you learn from either side to actually make sure that you're doing well in either of those roles that you do.
oh, beautifully said. Beautifully. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Joy, how about you? How have you ever felt pressured to, to conform to traditional expectations in your professional or your personal life? And how did you, navigate those norms, and how did you shape your personal and professional identity?
That's a really good question. So I will say of course, I've had that pressure. I don't know too many people who don't. I think it's really to be expected when you're part of an organization or a family or society more broadly. There's so many instances of norms that are established. And frankly, sometimes I feel like conforming is exactly what I need to do or what I want to do. And that's especially true, like so many of the other panelists have said, when it comes to being a mother and a daughter. Those are two roles
Mhm.
that I cherish.
Yeah.
And so I readily lean in to being that caregiver at times and that provider, that nurturer, that empathetic listener, and being the one that I know sometimes I'm turned to out of what would be a traditional perspective. But I don't reject those as something that's only about norms. I appreciate that those things manifest because of my authentic self and the way that is experienced by the people around me and that care. So I think there's some richness to that, and I don't
Mhm.
want to either be confined to a stereotype or confined to not doing things that are traditional. I want to be unlimited in that respect. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that my parents gave me was
Ah,
this sense of permission and really this expectation that they placed upon me. It was to be myself. I mean, I grew up in an environment where there were not many people like me. And there were probably stereotypes of someone like me that were more limiting than expansive. And so my parents believed that to reach my full potential, I should not try to be like anyone else or conform to anyone's views or expectations. They were very explicit about that. And that has been an invaluable life lesson for me. It's given me the sense of confidence to try new things, to find my own path, and certainly to embrace my natural curiosities. And those things have inspired me to take on so many challenges, including the current role I have as a CEO. When I was younger, I chose to pursue my absolute undying love for math and applied sciences in school at a time when there was no girl power in computer science yet or embrace STEM for girls yet. I had my parents sharing those messages, even though that their backgrounds were both they were educators and they were poets and into
mm.
literature, but they nurtured what was me. And then I moved on and I chose to focus on my career first by taking highly demanding roles and working around the world. And I did that before marrying and starting a family later in life. So I didn't follow the path of trying to juggle first line manager and young kids at the same time. I waited. And that in and of itself, has some risk to it. If you wait, do you wait too long before the opportunity? But it worked out for me. And now I'm at a place where I've got the broad experience to draw upon from the roles and responsibilities and area of studies that I've had. And I'm fortunate that my work and my life and my family fit pretty well together now. So I love that concept about work-life integration rather than balance. I like that.
Yeah, that was beautifully said. Yeah, absolutely. Madhavi, how about you? Have you had the pressure to conform to traditional expectations?
Thankfully not. Thankfully not in my immediate circles, both at work and on the personal front. I have not had the pressure to conform to the norms, both at my own parents' place and at my in-laws' place, and with my own family. There are no such norms. There's no stereotyping at home. Everybody does everything, right? And but then I've had experiences, I think this was like a couple of decades ago. I was in a foreign country, developed nation, and we were three colleagues who had traveled together. We were visiting an elder colleague's home, elder male colleague, and he sort of made this offhand remark. The other two colleagues of mine were men, and I was only, lady. I don't know what came of him. This person, very elderly person, he says that wow, nice for you guys. You've come along with a cook from India. This is the statement. It just stuck in my head. Oh my God, I was so annoyed. I wanted to leave the place immediately, but of course, for whatever decorum reason, I just stayed there. Then the same person talks of his wife. He said his wife was a homemaker, and he said that your wife should be at home when you're exhausted, when you're coming home. The wife should be like a pet, the wife should come sit next to you and talk to you about how your day went. That seemed so odd to me. I was too young. This was my first experience traveling outside the country, and it's not any sort of underdeveloping or developing or not so developed nation, right? It was in a developed country, and that's a memory that didn't go away from my memory, right? So that was a bit sad, but that's what it was. I didn't have the courage or the bones that time to counter his views right then. But now, if somebody like that in front of me, I'm going to go wild. But so that's just I do see these things happening. I've heard a woman come up and say she's a doctorate in, I'm not sure which specialization, but she holds a doctorate, and she tells me that she told me she's my son's classmate or junior's mother. This happened about 15 years ago. She told me that my husband wouldn't want me to work. That was very painful for me to hear. Someone saying that both of us took the decision that I wouldn't work is an acceptable message for me than a woman who's a doctorate in something saying that my husband didn't want me to work. Right? It's very painful. Those are things that that I've heard in my near and dear circles. But thankfully, because for me, if somebody, if my partner had ever told me that you working is a problem, right? Given the mental demons that I am fighting, because the kind of background that I come from, where all the women were wonderful mothers, caring mothers, homemakers, they took care of the family 24/7, they were care providers, right? So I'm coming from that sort of a background. If my partner or if my parents-in-law, anybody had even once mentioned that you working is sort of creating this problem, that problem, I'm pretty sure I would have stopped working. I'm an emotional person, very sensitive person, so I'm super thankful for what life has gifted me with, but these challenges exist. I cannot deny that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Yeah. And thank you for that. Marissa.
I'm really grateful that thankfully I'm never had to conform to the norms either, but it's not lost in me that just 2 generations ago, my grandma didn't have access to an education. Just 2 generations ago. So that contrast isn't lost on me. It keeps me grounded and grateful, but also equally fiercely committed to making sure that everyone has equal access to that education and to lead with curiosity as well, right? And then at work, I'm grateful that the places that I've worked in, especially now at Bango, is supportive of women, of diversity, and engaging such rich fabric of people to come together to collaborate and thrive, really. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really nice. It's interesting to hear about your grandmother. I think that's more common than we even realize, that it wasn't that long ago that a lot of people didn't have that opportunity. So
yeah, absolutely. She is my inspiration. And without education, she was able to learn 3 languages, to read and write by herself. So it's definitely an inspiration, and it shows that it's possible if you're self-empowered and if you have that self-confidence, you can pave a long way for yourself.
yeah, absolutely. That's very inspiring. That's beautiful. So Manjula, how about, with so many hats to wear, how have you set boundaries and you prioritize what's really, really important to you?
So again, I'm just so glad to hear about Marisa, your grandmother. That's such an inspiration, right? Tanya, I come from a very conventional, traditional family from the south of India. I'm the first woman engineer in my entire family.
Oh, same here. Same here. Yeah.
Nice.
Also the family that I'm married into. I am the second woman to work in either side of the family. So from an expectation point of view, I can say that even today, my mother-in-law does not understand what I do. Why does it take me so much of time to be in calls, talk like this late in the evenings, working from India? That's all things that I had to take time to explain. From clearly articulating what expectations are there from me. I mean, I think it has been very difficult to, tell somebody what I do at work, starting with that, and also explaining how much time do I need to spend on a task that I'm setting out myself, right? Setting those, expectations very clearly with my family, with my work colleagues, have been the first thing that I have tried doing. I have also limited the number of roles that I want to play. I know that I can't play all the roles really well. 100%. I'm not a superwoman. I'm somebody who can actually do certain things really well, certain things somewhat well, and some not at all. So I have let go of the roles that I did not want to play and I was not good at, and I didn't want to pick up those, right? So I focused on the roles that I wanted to do well. And like Joy said, being a mother and a wife was really, really important. Being a daughter was extremely important. And also making sure that I was really putting my best in my work was very important to me. So I think those were what, and obviously being a sister to my brothers, without those idiots, I wouldn't be where I am today. So those were my critical roles that I prioritized on. And I have a very close set of friends who I have been able to lean on. And, they have been so understanding that I'm not able to spend as much as time that they would have loved to, have me with them. But they've been able to come in and support me because they've understood what I was doing, right? So setting expectations with each of the roles that I play has been very, very critical. I've taken time off when there was a need to spend time with family. I was a caregiver, primary caregiver for my mom and my dad and my father-in-law. And I've taken time off, and I did not think that was a loss in my career at all, because that was something I truly believed in, and I made sure that I was spending that time. But when there were critical items at office, I have, for example, last week, we had such a tough week. I had very clearly told my daughters and my husband, I am not going to be available this week. You need to figure out a way how you're going to manage yourselves, and I'm going to be back over the weekend. So that's something which I have always tried to do, so that people know where I'm spending the best of my effort in. To take care of some of the tiredness that sets in when you play so many roles. I say this really proudly because I take leave not just from office, but also from the chores at home. So I declare it to my family saying that I am sorry, this is my time and I'm going to be off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to be available because I would like to read. I want to take rest and I want to recoup. And I want to make sure that I'm up and running well for all of them together the next day, right? So I have not shied away from taking time off from any of the responsibilities that I've had. And I wanted to come back and give my best in all of the roles that I was doing.
That's absolutely beautiful, Manjula. And I really hope that the women and men on our call today hear that. Like, take that time that you need when you need it. Ask for help. Those are just so important to do. Joy, how about you? How do you set boundaries and prioritize what truly matters to you?
Well, as I said, I mean, I try to be very transparent about what's going on. I share that information with others because, again, I do believe that um, people in general empathize with, having multiple demands placed upon you. So expressing that you're human, oftentimes people think CEOs aren't people, that somehow or leaders in organizations, as you moved up the chain, you stopped being human or you became superhuman. But in fact, I'm still very much a person trying to navigate things as best I can. So I try to reveal that. I do, as I said, spend more time figuring out how to say yes and how to say no. I find that both your family naturally, especially from the time your kids are young, they'll take every ounce of energy that you're willing to give to them. And work, depending on the context or the time in your career, it'll take every ounce that you offer to it as well. And so I go back to trying to figure out what's most important in that moment at that time. And I accept the fact that sometimes, expectations of others may or may not be met, but I do try to make sure that what's most important to me or from my perspective is getting addressed. And the limits may be on time and energy. There's just a reality to that. But I try to actually just be as forthright with it and accept, I think someone mentioned the word that I love, a little grace when when I have to set a limit that has a consequence for someone else. And, I hope, in general that people know that if I could extend beyond a limit, I would. And that therefore, when I do express limits, that it's worth respecting.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you. Madhavi, how are you setting your boundaries and prioritizing what really matters to you?
Yeah, I think I was not good at it when I needed the most. Like I said here, I think what late 20s to late 30s or even early 40s is when you really need that skill, right? Your kids are too small. I have raised two boys, not that they would fight all the time, but they were playing all the time. The home would never be a calm place, right? It's not like a home you would see in the movies where, it's a pleasant place and, parents are working, coming back and having a conversation. It was never that sort of a thing. My home was all the time like a playground. The walls were like, creative artwork, crayon work, all along. All the walls in the home had, crayon work. So that phase is what I have gone through. I remember, getting very, stressed out about not being able to get to office on time. This was back in early 2000s, right? There was no concept of work from home, and I had to rely on external paid help to come in so I can leave the home. Kids, she would come in and take care of the kids while we were away at work. So, that internal pressure, you want to be sincere, you want to be on time at work, you want to be able to show results, and you are a young mom without the maturity that comes with age, right? And you're also on demanding roles exactly at that age. So, I've gone through the pains, but the way I dealt with it those days, I would want to show up on time at work. Thankfully I had great help, right? In India, you are spoiled with paid help for all sorts of needs that you would have. So I had commendable paid help that I could hire, and I would get I would get to work as much as possible on time, and I would probably be the one of the first ones to arrive, and I would put my head down and work till about 6 or so, and then I would come back home and continue. Uh, you know, that phase in life is extremely difficult. Today, when I see young mothers, my heart goes out to them, right? Every young mother is battling pressures of, or the guilt of not spending time or not spending quality time with the kids, and maybe not being seen as sincere at work. These are self-inflicted pressures, but you don't realize it at that age, right? But then beyond that age, you become a little bit more matured, and your kids have grown up. Today, I jokingly tell my colleagues that I am more an intruder in my kids' lives. I can go into my son's room, and at max, I can ask him 3 questions. Where the third question, he would say, "Amma, you can now leave. You have asked me too many details. You can leave the room." So that is the phase I am in. So long as the mother's role goes, they are very understanding boys, by the way. So I think keeping balance and protecting my space, etc. I have reliable help. I have outsourced cooking. I have outsourced the top work at home. But I drive myself. It's a long commute, but I drive myself. So, and there was a period of time where I would compare myself or compare the way I am maintaining the home. Mine is not a well decorated and ornate household or home, right? It's a basic functional home. So I was cribbing about this to a friend of mine, and she cut me and said, come on, Madhvi, I have come to the realization that this is my home. I'll just run it the way I can, right? You are not running your home for anyone else to come in and admire. Whatever are your priorities, you deal with that. You don't put pressure on yourself saying, the other person who's a star homemaker may maintain her home as a, whatever beautiful museum or so. But if you cannot do that, something else is important. You're doing well, and I'm happy with that. Accept it and move on, right? So I have some philosophical friends with me who keep me sane when when my own thinking falls down. Like I think Manjula was talking about her strong circle of friends. I would say I have a very inspiring set of friends who keep me sane. We can talk like mad with each other, laugh, and we regain our senses through interactions and meetups and things like that. So securing my boundaries, I think now I would say it's much easier for me than how it was when my kids were too small and when roles were all consuming, right? Now I am matured as a person. I let go of things that I feel I can let go. I am very particular about the kind of roles I want to take. So I pick and choose what I want to do, and I try and do my best in those. So that's my mantra for now.
I absolutely love it. It's so funny when you're talking about the younger kids. I just remember my son being young and eat your breakfast. Come on, we gotta go. We gotta go. Let's go. Just trying to gather everybody and get out the house was just like one of the biggest tasks of the morning. So
I used to go to fill fuel in my car. The drive is I go to a specific petrol bunk, which is just 2 kilometers away from home. And for that 2 kilometers drive from home, if I am filling the tank over the weekend, I'll take both of them with me, and they never sit in the seat, right? The one from the back seat would roll over to the front seat. The one from the front seat would roll over to the back seat. And I think there was a point in time we couldn't paste stickers on the car glasses. So, I would be quite conscious. What would the other drivers think on the road? What sort of mother is she? Kids are moving around inside the car. So that's so funny. Yeah. That's so funny.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Marissa, I know that I loved how you mentioned like you set your day, like you schedule your 3 meetings and you do your evenings. Is there anything else you can share how you're managing and prioritizing?
I think like Madhavi, I didn't have balancing right to start with when I was much younger, but I think as I matured, as I got more confidence and more grace across time, I think you also get more tools. You start to build your toolkit along the way, right? Just to show you a little bit about how bad it was. I remember when I was in my early 30s and I was trying to launch my startup. I gave birth to my daughter at 8:27 in the morning, and an hour after I was being stitched up, I was checking the product the features before it was going to be launched the day after. I don't know why, but I don't know why I chose that date, but it was what it was. And I think in many of the times you choose many things and you sacrifice yourself in many of the situations. But I've learned that along the way, there's only so much energy and so much time that you can pour. And if you're pouring from an empty vessel, it's not going to be the best for everyone surrounding you. So it's about making sure that you're able to give and be transparent. And I think it depends a lot on teamwork as well. So I think as Joy had talked about, I think transparency is so key. You work to understand your team and what makes them the best performing self. It also works reciprocally as well. So for your team to also know what makes you the best performing self and what is inhibiting you at that point of time, so that we can chip in one another and divide and conquer to actually bring out the best in one another. Yeah.
Oh,
And my kids, they're growing up and doing a lot more chores. So yeah, I have a stacked list of things that I'm still trying to equip them with. I have a list that I call survival skills at home. Yeah.
Oh, I
One
love
more
that. I
great
love it.
secret of mine is I tend to write a lot at work. I mean, I keep making notes, and on a daily basis, what are 3 things, 4 things that I have to necessarily tackle before I can call it a day. That's on my notebook. I think I've reached a point in life where if I'm not putting something down on my notebook, then it is not even in my head. So that sort of helps me keep my sanity at work.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this hour is going by really fast, but there's one question that I really wanted to ask all of you. Can you think of a time when balancing these multiple roles led to you grow and learn something new about yourself? And Joy, I'll start with you. Is there anything that you've learned about yourself with all these hats that you've had to wear?
Yeah, I've learned a few things, some of it not always good. I certainly have learned, as many others, is that I can function for some time on very little sleep. And we do find that for things that seem impossible, that what I've learned is that I can deal with a much broader array of situations and circumstances than I might have imagined. There were certainly, you have experiences in your professional life, and definitely as a parent, that there was no playbook. There was no one telling you that this was coming, right? And so what you do find is that you have flexibility and ingenuity sometimes and creativity to keep your kids from driving you crazy or things like that you didn't know were in that toolkit that Marissa was just talking about. I believe that's really firmly. And and it translates across environments. So I've found it very helpful to learn that I can have higher impact professionally if I bring some of my nurturing skills as a parent to being a better mentor and a better manager and developing people, and appreciating that all of us, when you have children, you realize that there's a lot of your character that comes when you're first born, right? And being able to actually respect that in adults and trying to understand their true selves. But the same kind of curiosity and engaging them and helping them bring their best to the professional environment has really helped me build, successful organizations and departments over the course of my career. So that learning to be adept in multiple spaces with what you learn has really helped me grow.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Manjula, what about you? What have you learned about yourself wearing all your hats? Hope you're on mute.
Sorry about that. In addition to my 2 daughters and my husband, I also have 2 4-let children, and they were making a racket here, so I wanted to make sure that
it's
you were in
okay.
trouble. So one of the things that I have learned is about resilience. I think that I never thought was one of my strong suits, but I think over a period of time, going through multiple challenges and different kind of situations that you encounter across your life, your work, I've learned that that's something which I would like to stick to and continue working on. That's one of the things. The second one, having 2 girls in the house, is a tough ask for a mom, especially when they start talking. So being a good listener is something that works at work and at home.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. How about you,
So I think
Mahatma?
that would say.
Oh, thank you.
That's good. Yeah, thank you.
How about you, Mahatma? What have you learned about yourself wearing all your hats? Anything new?
Yeah, so I think over a period of time, what I have realized is I am a no-nonsense person. I I like to communicate clearly, and I would like the other party also to be, straight and clear with me. That's one aspect. And the other thing that I wish I had not been so is I think I am still a sensitive person, a bit emotional. So, those are things that I have come to realize. I have to accept it. That's the reality. And it's not that I shy away from making tough decisions. I do make. But then, all said and done, I continue to be very easily getting emotional sort of person and quite sensitive, which I can improve on. I hope I work on it. Otherwise, I'm a no-nonsense person. I like candid, honest conversations, no beating around the bush, no unnecessary jargons. And I hate PowerPoints, I hate lengthy emails. I don't want to go on record saying all these things, but those are things that I have come to realize about myself. Yeah, some of these help me, some of these I need to work on. Yeah.
Wonderful, right. And Marissa?
It's quite hard. I suppose I think one key thing that I've learned is that when you're trying to balance so many different hats, is that if you're just working on just actions and completing the actions, they can come across as just transactional, right? And that's no good for the recipient, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. And I think what is most valuable is how do we change the narrative on that from making it transactional to delivering impact. You want to deliver impact at home, you want to deliver impact at work, and it's about how do we engage people around us to make that happen. So I think I've learned a lot about how to let's say remove the noise from trying to fit everything in, and then taking over me to become transactional and turning that into what are the key things that are most important to me for me to drive the most impact.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. Wonderful. Those are just wonderful answers. And we're going to go over to Nitesh, who's our CEO now, to take some questions and answers and open it up to our guests for any questions that they might have. Nitesh, are you there?
Yes, Tonya.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for joining
I want
us.
to take this opportunity to maybe express a little bit from my end. First and foremost, greetings on the International Women's Day to everyone. With 250 odd participants, I think, this has been a very interesting panel. And like you said in the beginning, Tonya, it's not just a celebration, but a call to action. Right. So I want to thank each one of the panelists, Joy, Marissa, Madhvi, and Manjula, for taking the time. I couldn't help but take notes of the words that you guys used, of the anecdotal incidences that you referred to, but also inspiring, also meaningful, also deep of life, deeply full of life, right? that I think if at all, if I reflect back at all the hats that you guys talked about, provider, juggler, magician, artist, right? Those, and I think, you could have chosen all the others as well, because that's how I have seen growing up, being inspired by my mother, who was probably the first woman to work in the family, inspired by my wife, who's been an equal partner, by my sister, who's another woman in tech and leading a small organization, and as I see all the other women who've been my friends, mentors, teachers, associates in life, and with everyone, I'm always stuck in awe of how many hats can a person wear at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I look at it as the one fundamental thing that I think I've been stuck by and always am in awe of is the ability to balance. And while as a male participant to the economic and the home ecosystem and whatever, I think we sometimes take the liberty of throwing tantrums and saying, I don't have the time to do this. Um, Take care of it. I'll look at it later. Unfortunately, as women, a lot of times you don't, and yet you balance it with such grace, like a trapeze artist, like taking care of those challenging and extremely engaging kind of activities that you have to take care of from time to time. We heard a lot of great things, a lot of great insights and advice. Ask for help.
Yes.
It's a work-life integration, not balance.
Mhm.
Define your boundaries. Don't be confined. Be genuine. Be present. Express yourself. Lean in to be what you want to be. And I think, uh, for all of once again, thank you for sharing that. For all of you as global leaders from across the world, you're truly an inspiration. And I think not only for all our women colleagues, but for everyone around to
Mhm.
look at, to learn, and for all of us as a call to action to do our bit in ensuring that we make it a more inclusive, equal, uh, caring, and we all lean in our own little manner to make sure that we can all work and thrive together. I fundamentally believe that a diverse ecosystem is a better ecosystem.
Yes.
It helps us to recognize us for who we are. It helps us to respect each other better. It helps us to make better decisions. And it gives us a variety of perspectives. It's like, if you were to watch the world in black and white, which is like being only men around kind of a thing, or with all the colors and spices of life, because of diversity of colors of the ecosystem of the environment, which makes it so much better. I fundamentally believe in it. I wish everybody has carried away their own takeaways today, but can't thank you enough for your time, for your participation, for your insights. Truly love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Thank you. It's a perfect way to end the call. So thank you all so very much. And have
Thank you
a
so much.
wonderful Women's International Day.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
everyone. It's a
much.
pleasure to meet you all
Thank you.
today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Absolutely loved it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Madhvi.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
I couldn't help but take notes of the words that you guys used, of the anecdotal incidences that you referred to, but also inspiring, also meaningful, also deep of life, deeply full of life, right? That I think if at all, if I reflect back at all the hats that you guys talked about, provider, juggler, magician, artist, right? Those, and I think you could have chosen all the others as well, because that's how I have seen growing up, being inspired by my mother, who was probably the first woman to work in the family, inspired by my wife, who's been an equal partner, by my sister, who's another woman in tech and leading a small organization, and as I see all the other women who've been my friends, mentors, teachers, associates in life, and with everyone, I'm always, stuck in awe of how many hats can a person wear at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I look at it as the one fundamental thing that I think I've been struck by and always am in awe of is the ability to balance. And while as a male participant to the economic and the home ecosystem and whatever, I think we sometimes take the liberty of throwing tantrums and saying, I don't have the time to do this. Um, Take care of it. I'll look at it later. Unfortunately, as women, a lot of times you don't, and yet you balance it with such grace, like a trapeze artist, like taking care of those challenging and extremely engaging kind of activities that you have to take care of from time to time. We heard a lot of great things, a lot of great insights and advice. Ask for help.
Yes.
It's a work-life integration, not balance. Um, Define your boundaries. Don't be confined. Be genuine. Be present. Express yourself. Lean in to be what you want to be. And I think, uh, for all of once again, thank you for sharing that. For all of you as global leaders from across the world, you're truly an inspiration. And I think not only for all our women colleagues, but for everyone around to look at, to learn, and for all of us as a call to action to do our bit in ensuring that we make it a more inclusive, equal, uh, caring, and we all lean in our own little manner to make sure that we can all work and thrive together. I fundamentally believe that a diverse ecosystem is a better ecosystem.
Yes.
It helps us to recognize us for who we are. It helps us to respect each other better. It helps us to make better decisions. And it gives us a variety of perspectives. It's like, if you were to watch the world in black and white, which is like being only men around kind of a thing, or with all the colors and spices of life, because of diversity of colors of the ecosystem of the environment, which makes it so much better. I fundamentally believe in it. I wish everybody has carried away their own takeaways today, but can't thank you enough for your time, for your participation, for your insights. Truly love it. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Thank you. It's a perfect way to end the call. So thank you all so very much. And have
Thank you
a
so much.
wonderful Women's International Day.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
everyone.
so
It's a
much.
pleasure to meet you
Thank
all
you.
today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Absolutely loved it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Madhuri.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.